What's up, everybody? Welcome to That Wannabe Film Class. This is our second month of That Wannabe Film Class, which means we're diving into our second theme, 2010 movies. This is the podcast where we love movies, so each month we choose a theme, and each of our members brings one movie that we love that fits that theme. As I said, this month's theme is 2010 movies, and I am so excited to say that I am joined by both of my co-hosts on this podcast,
Hey.
Chloe Naylor
Hey.
and Logan Wilkinson.
What's up?
Hi, guys. We've been
Hi.
separated for so long.
It's been a while.
It's been a while,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not for me. I've talked to both of you
Yeah, Ben's been on every episode, yeah.
because while you've both abandoned me, I've just been chugging along.
Wow.
I've been doing
Good
this whole
on you.
thing.
That escalated really quickly there.
I hated this so much I had to leave the country.
Had to get away, man.
You know, I'm honored. I'm so honored.
Good.
I've always dreamed of someone hating me enough to leave the country for me.
And I did. And I realized that I hate it more over there, so I came back.
Damn, get wrecked, London.
I said this last time, I don't like the Europeans.
Damn.
But Chloe, you are returning to us with a movie, much like a character from this movie returns to America. And this movie we're talking about is...
Right. I'm talking about Inception today.
Yeah, boys.
Yeah. So
Chloe,
good.
why is Inception your pick for 2010 movies that you love?
Because I knew it came out in 2010, and that's about as far as that thought process went. And I know I like this movie.
Okay, fair.
So, yeah. Also, it's like, I think it's been a while. It's been a hot minute since I've seen it.
Mm.
Also, maybe now I can actually, comprehend, in quotation marks, what's
Now
going
that
on.
you've rewatched it, do you think you could comprehend it?
I comprehend it more than I did, 10 years ago.
What about you, Logan? Are you an Inception fan?
Yeah, I mean, I love Inception. I loved it going in. I hadn't seen the movie probably in 5 years. It had been a long time. I definitely, we'll get to it, but I definitely like it even more coming out of it this viewing. I am unabashed, a giant, Christopher Nolan is my favorite director, making movies now.
Wow.
And so I am a huge Chris Nolan guy, but it is, yeah, it's a great movie. And it's, I think, also a movie that I think very much is a great kind of opening pick for this month theme, because I feel like Inception kind of defines a lot of what this decade of movies kind of would do in a lot of ways, and kind of where it would go, both from a technical standpoint, from a storytelling perspective, and a script writing perspective. And so I think it's really cool to kind of open it this way in as well.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but I can totally see that. I think it's kind of the beginning, not the entire beginning, but it's on the early stages of this wave of, effects heavy
Yeah.
blockbusters. And it's definitely one of the ones that does it the best.
Also, definitely popularized that blah noise in trailers.
Oh boy, did it.
Man, where would we be without them?
I don't know. I feel like trailer editors would have to be, I don't know, creative with their edits or something.
No. Man, what? Without the blahs?
I don't know. I'm just saying, maybe they could create emotional resonance through something other than a singular sound.
Whoa.
I'm giving them shit, but to be fair, I think the Boums have kind of phased out of style finally.
That's true. Now we put our spoilers in trailers.
That's true. We tell ourselves everything.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a new phenomenon, though? I feel like I've definitely seen old trailers that do it too. We've just become a lot more averse to the concept of it.
I mean, Michael Keaton literally spoiled the 89 Batman movie on Carson, and nobody cared.
I like that clip.
Yeah, he was like, whatever. Yeah, and it's nowadays we'd fucking murder him in the streets after he got off that interview set. Yeah.
He would have been killed on site if that happened today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Imagine if he was an actor for, he is an actor for a Marvel movie because, Spider-Man. But imagine if he had done that for Spider-Man.
The mouse would have come out of the crowd and shot him. It would have happened.
In an ironic twist, the mouse comes for the bird.
Yeah.
Guys, we're talking about Inception. It's directed by Christopher Nolan, as Logan has so helpfully said. It's also written by Christopher Nolan. It's produced by his wife, Emma Thomas, along with Nolan himself. And it stars a very, very good cast of characters. We have Leonardo DiCaprio as their protagonist, Dom Cobb. We have Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Ellen Page, Tom Hardy, Ken Watanabe, Cillian Murphy, Marion Cotillard. I don't know how to say her last name. It's French. I feel like I'm going to fuck it up. And Michael Caine.
The entire cast of Batman. Yeah.
That's very true. Christopher Nolan knows who he likes.
That's true.
I feel like, because, okay, so Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he got for the third Batman movie. And same with Marion. So this was like his testing ground, I guess. He made this movie and he was like, I know I like Michael Caine. I know I like, and Tom Hardy. Wow, he really just roped them all in, didn't he? God.
Right?
Oh, God.
Dark Knight Rises, it's the same cast.
Dark Knight Rises was actually just a sequel to Inception this entire time. The entire movie's a dream. That'd make it more interesting, honestly.
Yeah, it would.
It does have, not to like go into the very end of Inception already, but The Dark Knight Rises and Inception do kind of end on the same note of we don't know if this is real or not.
We'll get to that, but
it's true.
I disagree. But
okay. I would love to talk about that.
Okay.
But before we get to that, we have to get through this entire movie, which means, Chloe, it's time for the recap.
It's the recap time. Yay, that's the best part. So we start in a dream heist. No, wait, we actually start in limbo first. I always forget the limbo part.
I do too. I saw it and I was like, oh yeah.
I do too. I also forgot about it. Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Do you think it was necessary?
I guess.
I think it's a way to bookend it, kind of thing, like open and close it, kind of the same.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not necessary, but like it's a way to like book and like kind of bring you back to where like you were at the beginning.
I think because the thing is, I think a lot of people who teach screenwriting kind of say that opening a movie with a flash forward or opening a TV show episode with a flash forward is cheap because you're relying on the like question of, oh, how did they get to this point to drive your narrative instead of just making your narrative interesting, which I don't feel like Inception's doing. Also, just there's no real rule in screenwriting that you can't break if you're good enough at it, and Christopher Nolan is definitely good enough at it.
Just like Cobb breaks all his own rules.
Yeah.
This is a movie about making movies in a way.
Yeah, I heard that too. It's like a whatever metaphor for filmmaking.
It's a common interpretation. We'll get to that. But Chloe, continue on.
Sure. So he's in limbo. We see Leo DiCaprio, who plays Cobb. He does cool shit like shooting a gun and then catches the empty bullet casings. Like, okay, way to flex on us, but all right. And then I don't know how we get from limbo back to the dream heist.
It just kind of jumps.
Whatever. It just kind of jumped, right? So they're there with Arthur, who's Joseph Gordon-Levitt. His name is Jorson now.
Jorson Gordon-Levitt.
Jorson, yes.
Jorson Gopher Levitt.
No, they're writing it down right now, yeah.
Man, okay. I'm going to fuck that up every time I say it now. It's like Sean Bean again.
Good. People loved that.
Sean Bond. So they're in their heist with Saito, who's Ken Watanabe. And homie's got to wake up from the dream, and they find out they have the dumbest fucking architect who can get carpet stains right, but he can't get the material of the carpet right. I don't know how you fuck that up, but like...
Do you just have like photos sent to him?
I guess, but like, homie, amateur moves here. Come on, you're a dream architect. You can't get a dream thing right. Yeah.
Especially, presumably with the resources of a major corporation to pull this off, and with an apartment that isn't occupied most of the time. I feel like you could definitely just slip in, get a feel for everything.
Yeah, and be like, okay, I know what I gotta do. And then you go and build it. Anyways, that's why we never see him again, because they kill him afterwards. They don't, but we just never see him again.
They might.
They might have, who knows. So it's like time to wake up. We are introduced to the concept of kicks, which, you know, when you're like falling in a dream, you wake up suddenly. Leo getting pushed into a bathtub. That's scary.
That scene was so cool.
That does seem really cool. God.
I think that's one of my favorite visuals this movie has the entire time is just the water rushing into the house.
It's so awesome. Oh my god. So we find out that Cobb and Arthur are being hired by Saito, because Saito wants to break up his competitor's business. The CEO of that company, he's dying, his son's the heir, and he's like, okay, listen, I gotta get the heir to just fuck this all up. I don't want it anymore. And if you guys do this, I'll clear your criminal record. How he can do that as a businessman is beyond me, but okay, sure.
There's just such an underlying commentary in this movie of like, businessmen have all the power, Because it's not even like a complex thing he has to do. He's just like, no, I'll make the call. And I'm only going to make the call once you've completed it. So basically, I can get this done in 30 minutes.
Right. I'm going to make a phone call. Your criminal record's gone. You're a Japanese businessman? You can do that? Okay. Sure. We live in a capitalist nightmare.
The running theme of all of our episodes.
Honestly, we have a whole cinematic universe going here. So Arthur thinks that they can't do that. Cobb's like, you know what? I want to see my kids again because I haven't been in the US in forever. We'll find out why later. He takes the job and then he's going to get his team. So it's him, his buddy Arthur. He gets Tom Hardy into this. Beautiful Tom Hardy. I love him so much. And the doctor from Avatar. He's the exact same character. I just watched Avatar on a plane. That's the same dude.
I definitely did not know that. But to be fair, I've seen Avatar once in my life.
Same.
I am burdened with the knowledge of Avatar things.
Why?
I don't know. Like, people, you see those BuzzFeed quizzes, like, can you remember all this from Avatar? I get like a perfect score on it. I don't know why I remember that movie perfectly.
I don't know if I get a perfect score on that because I don't click it. I feel like you're doing this to yourself.
Yeah. Also, I kind of like that movie. I'll have to pick that for a later thing.
No, please don't.
I know
It's
I will.
okay. It's not bad.
I disagree.
Okay, well, this is the Inception podcast, not an Avatar, but I'm going to pick Avatar later. We're going to get into that.
That's your 69% movie.
Oh, shit.
And along this way, we've discovered that Cal's wife is, or the projection of Cal's wife is Cal? No, Cobb.
Cobb?
Yeah. Sorry,
Cobb.
I merged.
His wife's name is Mal.
Yeah, I merged the two in my head.
You merged their names.
We discovered, I also was watching Watchmen yesterday, and there's a character named Cal, and this is all just jumbling in my headspace right now.
It's all the same.
But we discover that his fantasy version of his wife is crazy.
She's insane, and she is everywhere. She just will not leave them alone.
I'm so confused by her. I think she's the character that confuses me the most in this movie.
Yeah, I guess I get that.
No, I mean,
then again,
interesting.
it's also partly his fault that she just kind of went crazy.
Oh, for sure. But what I'm confused by is like, she's not her. She's his creation of her. And he's like drawn to her, but also she's hyper violent and like lashes out. And I'm just like, what's happening here?
It's very strange. Yeah.
I think it's less him being drawn to her and more just like him. It's his wife, right? Like, it's something like it's his wife. So like his like because like she's gone, but like it's the only version of her like her that he has left, right? That's why it's like more of him just like wanting to not like take the shot when he gets a chance later on in the movie or anything like that. Just like that's all I have left.
I just personally, I would have liked a bit more of like actual chemistry between them because I feel like she's written to.
I think their chemistry is great.
I don't.
I think they have such good chemistry together.
I think that she's rarely ever playing who she actually is, and I would have liked to have seen what made him fall in love with her a bit more, so I could kind of understand. Especially because it's not that there's this idea of his wife. The thing that I was bumping up against, and like again, this is my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. I love this movie, but the thing that I was bumping up against was he seems to be drawn to her and her reality, but also he has children to get back to. And it's the fact that there's kids involved where I keep hitting this moment where I'm like, but she's clearly not your wife.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately though, like he recognized the fact that like his kids are his kids ultimately were like are his salvation in a lot of ways, right? Like that's what ultimately that kind of like saves him is the fact that it's like I know that this like the kids and the guilt is what him be like. I know you're not real. Like I know you're not the real thing. Like I can't choose you because they're there, and the guilt of what's happened has let me know that you're not real, kind of thing. And like I think for me, like I think we get flashes of like what made him fall in love with her, but like the whole point is that like we're not meant to necessarily feel joy when we see her, right? Because he doesn't feel joy when he sees her. He feels guilt. He feels sadness. He feels kind of waves of like melancholia like overcome him. And like I think we're supposed to kind of over time dread seeing her as much as he does, because that's kind of the reality in which he lives in now. Like he is just one where he's burdened by these other feelings that are more negative, right? Like he he's built like almost a literal dream prison for her, to try to preserve her, but also to try to keep her from just fully like splitting asunder his mind. It's a complicated relationship.
It's a very complicated movie.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Where we leave off. You got the team, you got the doctor from Avatar, and he also gets Ellen Page, who plays Ariadne?
Ariadne?
Who
Maybe?
is Ariadne?
I don't know.
Either way, he's hiring her to build a maze, which, wow, groundbreaking with the name and the mazes. Love it.
I really like Ariadne as a character.
I love her. She's really cool.
I think she's the first character in this movie that's like a prolonged character that I immediately like connected with. Like I like Saito a lot, but I feel like Saito's a character that grew on me. Ariadne, I just met her and within 10 minutes I was like, yeah, you're great.
Yeah, she's cool. And like what they're like, so we have this whole like kind of like montage-y kind of thing. They explain the concept of like dream sharing, which is awesome. I wish that was a real thing. And like totems. So everyone has their own totem to figure out if you're awake or not. What would your totem be?
Ooh.
Jesus Christ.
Oh boy.
I don't know what a
Is that a loaded question?
what a question to pick immediately without having any sort of prep time.
Let's see. Let's think about this.
I'm thinking of like small.
How would you guys think about it? And I'll keep going with the plot.
You keep going. We'll come back, Jess.
We'll come back to this at the end. Dream sharing, all that shit. We find out more about Mel, who we were just talking about. And then we find out that the Saito's competitor, that dude, finally kicks it. And then Cillian Murphy, who's Robert Fisher, shout out to him too.
He's so
great actor.
He's a great actor.
Also a Batman actor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Scarecrow.
This is the same cast.
Do you think if Christopher Nolan couldn't have gotten Leonardo DiCaprio for this movie, he would have just cast Christian Bale?
Just to finish it off.
I was reading the wiki. I think he offered it to Will Smith and somebody else.
Will Smith and I remember somebody else too.
Will Smith and
Brad Pitt, I think. Somebody like that.
It was Brad Pitt.
I like that.
Will Smith and Brad Pitt.
I like both those options.
Yeah.
I think Leo is perfect for it.
Oh,
though.
for sure.
Like he's so
He's a really good choice for this. What else do they do? Projections are a thing where like if they suspect that what is it? If they suspect that you know that you're dreaming? Or if you
No, it's because the person who's dreaming and the person whose projections they are different. So if Ariadne is the dreamer and Cobb is in there with her and he's messing with the dream, this is the reverse of what actually happened. So actually, let's reverse it. So if Cobb's the dreamer, if Ariadne is the dreamer, if Ariadne is the dreamer and Cobb is in there as the subject, it's his subconscious that's projected onto it. So the more you mess with reality, the more that subconscious starts to realize, oh, this isn't our mind, and hunts for the dreamer, which in that case would be Ariadne.
would be her. Yeah.
It's very complicated. There's a lot of concepts going on in here.
Oh yeah, there's a lot. Like when now I remember. That's when she starts like folding the town. She walks upside down, fucks with the bridge and all that.
And they all react.
Yeah. Yes. And also she uses a place that she's been to before, which you're not supposed to do. But
you don't draw from your memories. Yeah, like
But like, how are you supposed to come up with something?
That's what she asked, and he says like it's like just like small things like a street lamp or like that, and build from there, not like an actual memory itself, because then
You're right.
it can lead to
I mean, that's why they hire architects, because they need people who can design new things.
That's true.
And not just populate things with their things they've seen before.
You got to come up with people that know simple things like the right carpet material. Yada yada, all that is explained to us, you know. Dude dies, and then they're all on the same flight together in business class, first class together. Perfect.
One of my favorite lines is when they're discussing needing to get a plane, and they're like, okay, we'll need to buy out all of first class, and we'll need to buy out the first class flight attendant. And Saito just goes, I bought the airline. I thought it'd be easier.
He's like, I just bought the airline. That's so funny to me. Oh, God, what a great movie. So then they have the different levels in which one person stays behind as the others go to sleep because they all need to trigger a kick at the same time so that they all wake up at the same time. And they have this as, what song is it? I don't know how to say that song name because it's in French. but an Edith Piaf song?
Yes.
That's an auditory cue, right?
Mm-hmm.
To help him wake up.
The song.
Song. That song is 2 minutes and 28 seconds. And this movie is 2 hours and 28 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you know? Do you not know that? You don't even know this. Also, it's played like backwards. Like Hans Zimmer like incorporated it into the movie itself, and it's being played like backwards throughout the movie.
That's super cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So cool. The music in this movie is
it's super cool. So like as you like get to like the actual thing at the end, it's like going like louder and happening more and more. It's becoming louder and louder and louder. Like he's like incorporated into the film, just played backwards basically.
It's dope.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I love movies. Movies are so cool.
Movies are so cool. So they're all in the dream. First one is they're in the rainy city. Saito gets shot, and they're like, oh, Tom Hardy's like, I'll just shoot him. It's fine. Then he'll wake up. I'm like, no, we're under such a heavy influence of drugs that if we die, we're just going to go to limbo forever. Like,
Can
dude,
we just talk about how shitty of a person Cobb is in this movie?
he's so shitty.
I don't agree. I think it's trickier than that.
I don't agree
you
with
tell your
that.
team that?
Like,
Because they wouldn't be up for it then. They wouldn't do it probably.
I guess, but like,
yeah, so he's selfish.
it's also his fault that his wife keeps showing up and fucking up the plan.
Kind of. It's also just him like processing grief. Like I think like look like it's definitely like a bit of a shitty thing to have done, but also for me to think like, but there are more important things, such as him being able to like see his kids again, get his name cured. Like he's very much single-minded, focused on it, and just try the means on it.
For me, I feel like if Cobb didn't have Mal, or at least didn't know Mal was a problem, and then he didn't tell them about the effect of the sedative because he was like, I just assumed this would all go smoothly, I would understand that.
Fair.
If he didn't tell them about Mal because if he didn't tell them about Mal and there was no sedative, then I would understand him not telling them about Mal. Because, like, okay, yeah, worst case scenario, you get shot, you get pulled out of the dream. It's not like you're going to go to jail. Because he knows his subconscious is an issue and dangerous and violent. And he knows they're under sedatives that can get them stuck in limbo and doesn't tell them about it. I think that's a pretty shitty thing to do.
Yeah, but how do you explain? I guess how do you explain like that's the whole point is that, like Ellen Page figured it out because she literally jumped into his brain, but like which is a shitty thing to do in its own right. But like, how do you like? It's that thing for me. Like, how do you explain the fact that like, all right, like, you know, I'm wanted for murdering my wife, which I didn't do, but it did plant the idea that grew like a cancer to kind of go back to that line again and again and again of your world isn't real. Death is the only way out in her mind, and then it worked. We got out of the dream world, but then it became too real in the real world, and so it's like this weird thing of like. I just all that, and also because of that and the effects of that and the guilt from that, now she just pops in my mind into like a homicidal maniac, and she might try to kill us all. It's not no big deal, guys. It's like yeah, like that again. Nobody can be like, cool. Let's go jump in through a dream within a dream within a dream within a dream within a limbo with you now. It's like no, like he needs them. He needs the best team possible for like Inception to work. Like I understand why he was very much like they're probably not going to be here for this. Like, is it selfish? Yes, but like I think ultimately, like again, he cares about getting his kids back and like being able to see their faces. Pros and cons.
I don't know, man. I don't like Cobb. Like I want to like Cobb. Leonardo DiCaprio does a great job with him. He's very relatable as a character.
I think his performance is phenomenal.
It's fantastic. There's definitely moments where I'm like, I really enjoy Cobb. I really like him as a person. He's a cool guy. And then he pulls this stuff, and I'm like,
I also think that we're seeing like a very broken version of this character too, right? Like it's also like a version of this character who's like fundamentally been broken in like big ways, and like by the end is like like has this kind of like healing moment, but like we're getting not that version of the character for like 98% of the film. Like he's one who's been like profoundly affected by the stuff with Mao. So it's like he's been made a bit shittier too. Again, like he was been made into this person who like steals dreams, even when he wasn't really like that kind of figure to begin with.
Doesn't mean he's not shitty though.
No, like definitely. Yeah, I've said every time, shitty things he's doing. I just think they're worth it for what he's going for. I think both.
But they're worth it for him for what he's going for, which is the inherent problem.
No, I mean I don't think it's a problem. Like I think for me it's a thing. Like I think ultimately all the people are, as shown by the movie, are like fine with it. It's like yeah, like Yeah, okay, sure. Like again, like they're all here to like help him get for Inception to work and get his kids. But like I think also like doing this to get his kids back is ultimately fine with me. Which like yeah, like it's the risk, but like to be fair, he was one who then sacrificed himself in limbo to find the one guy who was fucked over by this too. Like he also did put in the work here too, and it kind of did go like do what he had to do to save his home. He could have just left the guy there and be like fuck that guy, I guess, kind of thing. And like he was like, nah, like I'm down to save the guy I need to save, kind of thing.
I I mean, he also needed to save Saito in
Sure,
order
but
to,
I think if it had been any of the other characters, he'd have done the same thing.
but it wasn't.
Sure, but I think it would. I don't think that matters. Is my point. Like I think no matter who it was, he still is in limbo to save them. Like I think he's still like ultimately he cares about his crew. Like
I just think there was a way for him to go about this where like he told the entire crew that they were going to be heavily sedated because I mean the guy who developed the sedative knew they'd be heavily sedated and he was willing to go into it. So I think if he had told them, and even if then he hadn't told them about Mal and that did blow up in his face, at least they could have known that there was a risk going into it. And I think it was messed up of him not to
sure,
tell them.
I think it's a small thing either way. Ultimately,
Hey, you know this thing that normally couldn't possibly kill you? What if it could kill you?
what if it could fry your brain like an egg? Sure, it's fine.
Love it.
But you'll only know that once you're already under heavy sedative and stuck here.
I also feel like that's a pretty like classic storytelling thing to get to the middle where that way like they can't just have like an easy escape out of the thing, right? It's like we have to have these characters actually go through the plan now, and it's like whatever way like that involves. Like all right, cool. Now like the door behind you is closed because a giant boulder is falling behind it. So now you have to continue on your journey here, like young warrior kind of thing. It's like just how can we make sure that they can't just like die, pop back in or out or whatever. It's like no, like once you're
They need to add
you
stakes.
have to stay here. Exactly, yeah.
I'm not disagreeing that they needed the stakes. However, on like a character level, I think Cobb should have told them the stakes. This is just me insulting Cobb as a character,
Sure.
not Cobb as a character in terms of he should have been written differently. I'm insulting Cobb as a person because I think he's kind of a shitty person.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyways, where were we? We're in the rainy city. We find out that the sedatives will just send us to limbo. And this is one of my favorite scenes where like Tom Hardy's like, you gotta dream a little bigger, and he pulls out this giant fucking bazooka to blast the bad guys. I love Tom Hardy so much. He's so great. Then they all like pile into a van and it's time to go to the next level. So Doctor from Avatar stays behind to drive. Everyone passes the fuck out and they go to a hotel. Cobb is in the bar with Cillian Murphy, what's his name? Robert? Yeah. And that's where an iconic meme has come from. When they're sitting at the bar. He's like, there's a dog behind you. He's like, what does it look like? And he just like squints. It's so fucking stupid. What are they doing in the bar? He's like,
would you like me to help? Jump in? Fill in
sure,
the details?
jump in at any time.
Okay, because I just watched the movie, so I have this all very fresh in my mind. This is when Cobb plays the Mr. Charles Gambit, which is essentially him telling Robert that he is dreaming and he pretends that he is a projection of Robert's subconscious whose job is to protect him, which is very cool because it gives, I wish I'd done this a bit more, but it gives the film the allowance to mess with physics and mess with reality way more in this level than in any other level. But yeah, that's the basic premise. It also gets Robert Fisher kind of on their side for the rest of the movie forward, which is super cool. That's one of my favorite things that happens in this movie.
Yeah, because before they were like kidnapping him, pretending to like torture his godfather or something. Like, okay.
And I think Robert Fisher is one of the most interesting characters in this film. So the fact that you get to spend a significant amount of time with him as one of your team members is really cool.
That happens. They go down the next level. That's the... No, yeah, okay. This is the mountain. Snowy mountain.
This is the James Bond level, basically.
This is the James Bond
this is
level.
the James Bond level.
That's literally what we're talking about levels. Like this is basically like a dope ass James Bond movie. This level.
It's yeah. Actually my least favorite level. I like the hotel one the best.
The hotel one's definitely my favorite.
My
like
favorite.
the rain one, I think, the least. Just because we're in it, I feel like the shortest amount of time.
That's true.
I like the rain one more than the snow one because I feel like I feel like there's an escalation of action from scene from like level to level to level. And I don't feel like we need the escalation. Personally, I would have preferred the snow level be a bit more of a character driven because we already had so much action happening with the hotel and that was really cool action. And the snow level was a bit more of just like generic action.
Just more action.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm not a fan of it.
I like it because I think it's the escalation of action as like we're hurtling closer to like the time cutoff point. I think that's why it worked for me. Either way, like the hotel is definitely the dopest. That one is awesome.
That one is very, very cool.
True. Yeah.
What else is happening, Chloe?
Well, this is around the same time where Doctor from Avatar drives off of a bridge too soon. So then that fucks up with everything else. That's really cool. Like, so since they're falling, gravity fucks up in the hotel, and there's an avalanche in the snowy level. Super dope. So that's the new kick, is them hitting the water. That's another cool effect. I love the effect of them hitting the water. So they infiltrate the huge snow fortress, but then surprise, his wife is there. She kills Robert, which is like, okay, fuck. Cobb kills Mal, and then Saito, I think, finally kicks the bucket too around the same time. Everyone just dies immediately. So then they're like, okay, fuck. Well, we need Robert. He's dead, so since he's dead, he's in limbo, so I guess we gotta go there too. Yay. Cobb and Ariane go there, but in between this is when we see all-time favorite scene is like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, the fucking twirling hallways and him wrapping everybody up with the, oh my god. Really cool. They go to limbo, and this is where we get your character shit with him talking to Mal and
the big reveal, yeah.
The big reveal. It's like
the moment how he said like I know that Inception works. I've done it before. That whole thing, yeah. Again, an idea is like like a virus with the great line of like an idea can either define you or destroy you, which is like I love that line.
Super cool. Yeah, is this no? We find out earlier or here that that's not his totem. That the top is hers, not his.
Yeah, we knew that.
We knew that. That was earlier.
We knew that for a while. We don't know what his totem is.
There are a lot of theories.
I have my own theory about that too. Yeah. Guess we'll dive into that later. Yeah, so we find out that they like kill themselves in a dream, and she like woke up and she's like, I'm still dreaming. So then she actually had to kill herself.
Because again, the idea that he planted in her head basically was, yeah, like the world you're in is a dream, death is the only escape, right? Because that's like the line she goes back to again and again. Like at the
right. You're waiting for a train.
Yeah, exactly. The whole you're waiting for a train. It's also in this one is when it's revealed that like they did grow old together, right? Like they were actually old when they because they'd been together 50 years and like the dream world thing. So it's like we did do that, right? Like I wrote down the line of like we did grow old. We had that life, like
which is really fucked up.
We had that time together. Yeah, like I have to let you go.
I think that's also the best encapsulation of the theme of like what is real, because so long in this movie it feels like he's grappling with losing his wife and not having that time with her. And you get that moment where it's like, no, he can come to terms with the fact that they did have all of that time. And even though it was in a different world, in a dream, essentially, that still counted. That still mattered.
He does make peace with that during this whole thing. Ellen Page kills her. And then they all fucking yeet off the fucking building to wake up. Which I guess, is this the time where they all hit the kicks, which is why they wake up?
Yeah.
Right? Instead of just dying?
The van hits the thing. Joseph Gordon blows up the train. I mean, like the elevator thing.
The elevator, yeah.
Sends that down. Tom Hardy blows up the building that him and Robert are in. And then, yeah, she jumps off the thing with Robert in the limbo state as well.
The kicks are very complicated.
They're awesome. They're so good. Yeah.
And it's confusing. Not necessarily in a bad way, though I do wish it was explained a bit more, because I was trying to figure this out. Because in the beginning of the movie, it seems like you only need the kick in the level above. So when they're in Saito's dream in the beginning of the movie, the kick comes from the apartment level, and that is what pulls him out of the mansion, I guess, level that he was in with the water rushing through. But then in this heist, I'm assuming because of the sedatives, it seems like they need a kick on both levels. So they need Ariadne needed to jump off the building while the defibrillator hit her, or she didn't snap out, or while the explosion happened, or she didn't snap out.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. It's very complicated.
It's complicated, but it's a complicated movie. they're back at the snow level. And then this is where Robert reconciles with his dying father. And when it's like super emotional, but it makes me laugh because my friend always thought that he was like pulling a pinwheel out of a microwave and he was just starting crying over that. It's like, no.
What?
He's just like, because he like opens the safe and it's like a pinwheel. I was like, oh, okay, this is my childhood. I should be my own person. She always thought that it was a microwave that he was like putting it into and just crying that he had to destroy it. I'm like, no, that is not what's going on.
I have so many questions for your friend. I want to know what her interpretation of this movie's themes are.
Right? Just kill the past. That's what it is.
Let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
Anti-microwave ovens.
Yep.
I love that scene as an aside.
It's a really good scene, though. It's like really emotional.
I think it's the most, in my opinion, emotionally resonant scene that Christopher Nolan has ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Dunkirk is emotional in the sense of like it's very visceral, but I think in terms of
I think the end of Dunkirk, there are a few of those shots really good. I also think that like it's a much more divisive one, but like I think Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises each have really emotionally resonant scenes as well. I know so it does very little for me in its ending, but
fair. Interstellar almost made me cry. Almost.
I've still never seen Interstellar.
You should see it.
It's one of those movies that came out and I was like, oh man, I need to see this. And then I tried watching with a friend, but it was late at night and I was tired. So I fell asleep like 30 minutes in and then just never got back to it.
I would just watch it on a plane. That's where I watched most of the movies.
That happens to me with space movies a lot. I fell asleep watching Blade Runner the first 2 times. I fell asleep watching Arrival. I've fallen asleep watching Interstellar.
All right. You just don't like space.
Apparently.
Just fall asleep. Oh my god. Emotional scene. Cobb is still in limbo, by the way, which he finds Saito, which is the beginning scene. Again, he's like, hey, remember, you need to make that call for me. He's like, I got you, homie.
It was a cool way to connect it back to him and like his and Mal's lines too, where like it's just but it's him and like Saito saying it now.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good. Like getting the full context of what they're saying to each other.
He and Saito have a weird relationship. Like I love it, but it's weird.
Yeah,
but
it's
I love it. I was gonna say like I love it.
I feel like they're this close to being like love interests, and I kind of want it.
Leonardo DiCaprio and Ken Watanabe, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
They've like formed this powerful emotional bond. They've been trapped in limbo for all this time together, just like he and Mal was. They use the same lines. Come on, it's all right there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say no. That happens. They all wake up. Saito makes the phone call. He's like, clear this man's criminal charges so he can go back to the US, which it works somehow. Crazy. And then he does get to go home. He makes it past customs. And then, like, he sees his kids. The same projection we've been seeing the entire movies, like, the 2 kids. And then, like, as soon as they get up and run away, he, like, never sees their faces. So he's like, okay, this is a fucking dream. Spins the totem. Kids turn around. He sees them. He's like, all right, fuck the totem. Goes and sees his children. Camera zooms in on the spinning top. Kind of wobbles a little bit. And then that's it.
So I know Logan was saying that he has feelings about what the ending is and is not. Logan, what are your feelings?
So it's like it's a 2-pronged thing. First off, like in a similar manner to Dark Knight Rises, but like it's much more of a thing I feel like in this movie. Like I think that the debate and conversation, but really let's say like the debate and controversy around this ending are dumb and detract from the larger movie. And like I think it's just silly. And second off, like I think I legitimately don't understand and think you've just viewed the movie wrong if you think you get to the end of this movie and the journey and everything in it and think he's still in the dream. It's the entire point of the movie is just defeated. But more than that, the top is clearly fucking wobbling and about to fall over. Like that's my thing. And like when I first watched this movie, I didn't watch it when it came out. Like I waited like a year or two and then watched it and was like, I got to that scene and was like, what the fuck? Like I was like, I don't understand the controversy. Like clearly this top is about to fall over. Like it's about to fall the fuck over. Like it's not in a dream kind of thing. And then and then people are gonna be like, well, like it doesn't matter because like that's not his totem, blah, 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 blah. That's all whatever. First off, the totem itself is clearly falling over. It's about to fall over. But second off, like, I think if you think he's still in a dream at the end of this movie, what an awful version of that film you have in your head. Then like it's like what a boring. Like the entire point of the movie, like this entire like watching it, especially now, like we're now because now we're watching like the recap and like what our thoughts are section 2. But like the like watching it for this time, I was like, fuck, like this movie is a movie all about forgiveness, like all about like forgiving others and forgiving those you love, and like most importantly, like forgiving yourself. It's like incorporating those themes and those ideas and viewing it through that lens, and then to get to the end of the movie and then be like, just kidding, he's still in a dream. All those lessons he didn't learn. It's like, well, that's an awful thing, and also like it would wash away his moment with Mal. It'd wash away like it'd be like the scene with him and Soda at the end would be like, cool, we need to go back. And it'd just be like, yeah, we need to go back. And then they don't go back. And it's like, that'd be a weird like choice. And it's like everything about the movie and like what it's been building toward just be like washed away if it's still in a dream. But again, none of that even matters because the totem is clearly fallen over. Like, that's my thing. When I watched it first time, I was like, that's fallen over, guys. Like y'all motherfuckers out here whining about nothing. Because it's not like it's like still spinning, and then it's like maybe who knows, and it's like no, like that's fallen. Like it's like I know how like spinny top things work. That's what it looks like when it's fallen over. And so like that's my like mini rant. It's just like the thing is fallen. It would do away with the entire plot and point of the movie and its major theme of forgiveness and like dealing with grief and the guilt you feel and like letting it go to kind of heal the wounds of yourself. So that's what I think. That's dumb. But also more importantly, I think the entire controversy around it is dumb. And the movie's incredible and is a masterpiece. And we should focus on that and not like whether or not this other thing is happening. And the same vein, again, like I said, for The Dark Knight Rises, where it's like, I think The Dark Knight Rises ending is also the real ending and not a dream. But I also think, again, I don't care. It's dumb to argue about this. Focus on the actual film. Blade Runner as well. All these movies. It's stupid. Focus on the movie. Anyway, that's my TED Talk.
So, not to immediately ignore exactly what Logan just said and focus on the ending, but Chloe, what do you think?
First of all, since it's not his totem, I don't think it would work properly.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it though? Because the rule of a totem is just you have to know what the weight of it is. It's not like it's a spiritual connection or something. So if he
that's true. So what's the weight of it?
If he has possession of it, if he's used it, he would know the weight. So wouldn't it work for him the same as it would work for anyone else?
Sure. Also this. Because like it's not like the loaded die that Joseph Gordon-Levitt has. It's a fucking spinning top. So if it's not spinning, that's your answer. Like it's like it's a spinning top, not a loaded die or like a fucking like weighted chess piece like Ellen Page had. It's like it's a spinning top thing. And also it very pointedly doesn't say what his totem is too. Like it's that thing too.
I think I know what his totem is though.
Is it the
wedding ring?
The wedding ring, right? It's gotta be.
Yeah.
Does that? I have a lot of questions about. Like, the more I think about this movie, the more questions I have. I'm not saying I have questions. I'm not saying this is like, oh, there's plot holes in this movie. I'm just saying this is a very complex movie that doesn't answer every question that there is. And now I'm thinking about them. So, like, what is the rule behind a totem? Because it sounds like it's about weight. Because, you know, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is like, oh, this is a weighted die. I know the way it lands. I know the exact weight of it. And Ellen Page's, I think, is also about weight, or maybe about the sound it makes when it falls. But the top either doesn't spin.
Yes, this is my thing.
Or the top either spins forever or it falls. And I'm like, why would it spin forever in someone else's dream? It's not like the other laws of physics are broken.
It's a dumb totem.
It's a dumb totem. And then it's the same thing as with like the wedding ring, where it's, if this is his totem, isn't it like, doesn't he determine the clothing he's wearing? I don't understand how not having a wedding ring versus having a wedding ring is a totem. I like the idea.
I think it's important to note too, just from like, if you want to get really into the weeds of this conversation, where it's like Mal's totem, she invented the totem. So her totem could also just be more rudimentary than the ones that come after her, because she was the first one to do a totem. So it could just be the thing of like, when it spins, I'm in a dream. When it's not, I'm in reality. And it's that simple. Whereas as they go from there, it's like, make it more complex, make it more personalized, make it more to where like only you know what it's the thing kind of thing. Because like they reference like, again, like, oh, like if you use it, it would mean the same thing, but they don't really necessarily say like anything beyond that. And it's like, yeah, like, but a spinning top is a spinning top kind of thing. Where like Leo in the wedding ring, it's like, yeah, like the wedding ring is his totem, because when he's wearing it, he can be like, all right, cool, it's reality. But I also, again, why I also think that he's in reality too is that like, again, his final whole like conversation with Mal at the end is just him being like, the guilt is how I know that this isn't real. Like, I know that you're dead because I feel the guilt of it all. That's how I know that you're not real. That's how I know that none of this is real, kind of thing. It's like that, like, in a weird way, I feel like the guilt is his totem, right? Like the grief is his totem. Like, knowing that he's responsible is like his totem in its own way, where it's like, that's because I thought that was like, watching it again now, I was like, fuck, like that made me even more confident to be like, yeah, like this is the real one, or it's him just being like, I can never get past it. Like, it's all encompassing in his life. Just like this guilt of being like, you're dead. Your death is on my hands because I give you the idea, right? And it's like that is why I think that I get to the end. It's like it doesn't. And like also like hearing like Chris Nolan talk about how like the entire point is that like at the end he doesn't check the totem. He just walks past. He doesn't like
Mhm.
he just knows. Like it's about his kids now. Like he can't just like
Mhm.
sacrifice being like, I don't need that assurance because I'm here with them and I know that this is real, right? And it's like I also think there's some sort of poignancy in him not like feverishly checking it like every other time and being like, this is real. Because again, like I think that final conversation with Mao does so much to kind of unlock that.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree.
Thank you.
I think there's a reading of it that is it doesn't matter, like your reality is your perception is your reality. You choose what is real. And I I like that theme, but I also think that I think you're right that it doesn't quite work with the other themes going on in this movie.
This is my thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so especially again, I keep bumping up to this. The kids are a big factor for me. I think
Hmm.
that if he was just trying to get home, if he was just trying to get back to like see his parents, or if he was trying to get back
Just get back
to
to his life.
yeah, to get back to his life, then I think the theme of whether or not this is a dream or not doesn't matter. It's the choice. It's his choice to just accept the reality he's presented with works because he does have kids who you hear him talk to who clearly miss him and he misses. Then by not giving him the real reality, like even if you say, okay, well, he's happy because he has his kids. If it's not the real reality, then his kids aren't happy because they don't have him. And I think that fundamentally contradicts the idea of this is your choice.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was, I can't tell if that's just a reading that seems obvious in the movie, but is an incorrect reading, or if Christopher Nolan just had too many themes happening at once.
I do think also that like I'd be much. I think it's. I think no matter what, like I would think that like the final shot is real. It's like the whole ending is like real. But like I think for me to think like it just doesn't make any sense. Like I can't reconcile the idea of like his final exchange with Mao is him like letting go of it. Like the whole point is like he says little lines like I have to let you go. Like I have to let you go now. And it's like it doesn't make sense for like that conversation to happen and the charge manner that it does. And then for him to like spend however many years in the dream world finding Sato,
Mhm.
have a conversation, do all that shit, be like, we have to go back, and then be like, and actually, no, I'm just gonna stay here for what? Because like his wife is and like because also Mal is dead in in that limbo state now too. Remember, she got fucking shot. So it's like, what is he staying for now then in that
Mhm.
world? It's just like it's like it doesn't make any sense for like that all to happen, the conversation to happen, the meeting with Soda to happen, and then for him to be like, and I'm gonna stay in limbo anyway. Still, it's like that's a weird. So for me, it's that thing like no, like clearly he's gotten these like growth moments and growth points to process his guilt and trauma and grief to be like I want this route, like I want this, and also tying to that the fact that like literally his overarching the entire narrative thrust of the movie is the fact that like he wants to get back to his kids, and so for him to get to that point and then be like, not really though, I was trying to hang on a dream instead. It's like that is one for me where it's like it doesn't make any sense for who this character has been for the entire 2.5 hours. So it's like I think people want it to be a dream because like they want like the cool like clever twist, but it's like yeah, but like it doesn't really fit in with like what this movie's story has been telling you about this character and world.
I think there's a narrative about this movie and its themes that I definitely like. I understand why the narrative is there. And I think
Hmm.
I even bought into it a bit more going into this conversation than I do right now, just because you're making a very convincing argument. But there's the narrative of,
Oh, thank you.
you're welcome. There's the narrative of, oh, it's about, and even Christopher Nolan kind of feeds into this because he talks about it. And I think this is where a lot of the idea for this movie came from of, what is reality? And a lot of people will choose to read this movie as a statement on, oh, reality is what you choose. And there are definitely scenes that feed into that. I think that there are elements of this movie that I think probably could have been streamlined and polished a little bit. I think at times it gets a little bit too convoluted. I get why. I think that Christopher Nolan is a writer and a director who goes into all of his movies with this kind of idea of exploring his own emotional state and his own view of reality. And because his movies are very much in my opinion, therapeutic way of understanding himself and understanding how he processes the world, that also means that it's not always the most simple way of doing it because, when he's trying to find an answer to something he doesn't have an answer to, then you can't really fundamentally streamline your storytelling process, if that makes sense. What do you think, Chloe?
Man, I don't think that deeply about anything. Oh god, it's a fun movie with cool visuals. Yay. And it wasn't a dream.
Yeah, hell yeah, there we go.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I think it was real.
The Blockbuster viewers' official decision. Not a dream.
It was real.
Unanimous decision, yeah.
Two thumbs up, it was real.
Do you think that, okay, so.
I don't think, carry on, okay.
Chloe has no thoughts.
Why do you think that he and Mal stayed in limbo originally? Because that's a question I've always had when watching this movie.
Just cause?
Well, the point was that, right, like, they wanted to see how far they could, like, push it, like, kind of, like, touch on it, like, how far they could go, right? And then they got to that state, and then it was that thing, like, he's got the line of, like, we were gods, basically, like, creating our own world, right? And, like, that was enticing it. Like, I think the reason they stayed for 50 years in the dream world, which is, like, however long in, like, reality, was because Mal thought it was real, right? Because she locked away, like, her, like, deep, dark secret, like, thing that she never wanted to question again, right? Like, I think Leo questioned it pretty, or, like, at a certain point where he was like, I'm ready to go, and the sheep being like, no, this is real kind of thing, right? And, like, then they started going on, like, the memories and 111. He's like, we, like, essentially, like, ran out of things to create, so we had to, like, draw on our own memories and, like, do that. And, like, I think that the reason they stayed there for so long, at the very least, is because Mal kind of locked away the reality that she was in, essentially. And then Leo couldn't really break out from that. It's like, well, it's still my wife down here. And then eventually had to be like, we're going to put our heads on train tracks and it's going to be chill, fam.
What a fucked up way to go. Make your wife die like that.
I definitely thought about that, where it's like, you guys could have gone a way more chill route than that.
So many other ways. No.
I was like, just like, imagine a gun in your hand and like, just like, but like on a fucking train track. Like, what a way to.
And your head is against the tracks. You can hear the train coming. It's like,
And Mao had it easy because Mao wasn't looking at it, but like Leo showed up looking at the train coming in. And like, I know that like he knows that it's a dream. Like, he's like, yeah, it's a dream. But still the thing, like, damn, though, like, even in a dream, that's a hell of a, yeah.
For me, I think the reason that was the way they went with it was because in a way it was the most passive way of killing yourself. Like, shooting yourself, the action you take is immediately going to cause the effect. Jumping off a roof, the action you take is immediately going to cause the effect. Drowning yourself, same thing, so on and so forth. Train tracks, like, you could theoretically lie on train tracks and not die if a train isn't coming. So I think it's maybe a bit easier to kind of put yourself in this mental state of like, this is fine. This is fine. We're fine.
Everything is fine, guys. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the noise.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it did lead to at least like a cool recurring motif of like the train noises, how like that was incorporated into the movie too. And like just like the flash of a train throughout like sporadic shots of the film. Like, it led to really cool like recurring motifs in the film, at least.
I think it worked really well. Who is your favorite character in this movie? Besides the protagonist. I feel like it's probably not Cobb to begin with, but
Tom Hardy.
Ooh, great choice.
That's a good choice. Eames is very cool.
Very good choice.
Cool. Yeah.
No, for me watching it again, like I fell in love with this movie so much watching it this time. Cillian Murphy's character. I think Robert is an awesome, like, I loved his character in the movie. Like, the layers of him, like the journey he goes on. Like, because I think he goes in the biggest journey in the film other than Cobb himself. And like it's awesome to see like his like anger and confusion and like trying to process it and like all the different stuff. And like the final one with like him and his dad is like so emotional and so well done and so beautiful. And like I think getting to that point where for him where it's like I want to build something on my own, like I want to create something on my own, like to because my dad did believe in me, because he didn't want me to be him, right? Like he wanted me to be like a good man before a great man kind of thing. And it's like I love that whole like arc for him.
I agree. I think that
Mm.
the Cillian Murphy. I'm a sucker for complicated family relationships to begin with.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, so especially like father son relationships. So that is something that really got me, especially just because even I think beyond the fact that that is the an emotional connection I have to a lot of movies, it's also just the most emotionally powerful element of this entire film is his relationship
Mm.
with his dad. Going off like that, how emotional that connection is. Do you think Christopher Nolan is a cold director? Because that's something he gets criticized for a lot.
I do not. Yeah, when I saw that note in the thing, I definitely don't think that's true. Um, like I think his movies can have. I think some of them can have an element of like coldness in, but I think that coldness is can be brightened by like these like flashes, like searing elements of like humanity and kind of like other emotions, right? Like The Dark Knight can be alleged to be like an incredibly dark movie and kind of very kind of cold and like very kind of like pessimistic view of like society, humanity, but it's punctured by like these moments where it's like it has faith in him ultimately, like very kind of like war moments, right? Where it's like the boat scene or like the final scene, which is just like a moment of like pure sacrifice with like the Dark Knight opposite kind of thing, or even like Dunkirk is like peppered with moments that are like very like that is arguably like his least cold movie. It's all about just like humanity and everything involved in that. Inception to me is like dripping with emotion, whether it's like Cobb and Mal or whether it's Robert and his father, like it's all over the place in this film. Interstellar maybe, but like that's a weird movie to begin with.
I feel like one of the reasons people bring it up though is, and this is an argument that I agree with, is I don't think that the Cobb and Mal relationship is that good personally.
I like it a
It's
lot.
my least favorite element of this
Oh
movie.
no, definitely is not my wow.
You know what the best relationship in this movie is, though? Tom Hardy and Joseph Gordon-Levitt constantly flirting. What's up with the characters,
A, I agree
right?
with you. B, this is I'm just gonna say it now. This was one of the things I was going to add in like the executive action changes I would make.
Mm.
I think that Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character is kind of boring, except when he's with Eames, just because he tends to he's the like, the straight man kind of.
He's a straight man,
Yeah, he's
yeah.
the straight man, which isn't a problem. I like that in concept. My issue with his character is just that he's often the straight man for Cobb, and Cobb isn't enough of a foil for the straight man character for that to really work, in my opinion. So I would have preferred that Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character be introduced as Eames' partner. So it's like the two of them are always together. They're always working together. They come into the story together, and they're just always bouncing off each other with kind of, I'm sure Chloe would like this, a very Felix and Locust relationship.
Yeah.
This is a red versus blue reference for anyone who doesn't
I
get
love
that.
it. Thank you, Ben. No, yeah, that would definitely completely improve everything. Yeah. I love that dynamic.
I know you do.
You know it. You know it.
Where were we?
We have to do our favorite scene still.
We do have to do our favorite scenes still. Logan, are your three favorite scenes?
Yeah, I thought a lot about this, and it's changed maybe a little bit even having this conversation. Um, my favorite scene, like, so, like, it's really hard because I think that, like, the entire last, like, 20 minutes of the movie, I adore is, like, my favorite part of the entire movie. Like, I think it's, like, just so well done. And, like, in terms of, like, paying off all the emotional beats and, like, in terms of paying off, like, the film's kind of thematic elements. Ultimately, I'm going to say my favorite, like, scene of the film is just Cobb and Mal and Ellen Page's character all in, like, the state of limbo, like, confrontation where, like, the reveal about the, like, the idea and the deception happens. And also just, like, him having the back and forth with her, like him saying like we did live that life, we did grow old together, right? And then him also just finally being to the point where he's like, I have to let you go, like I have to let you go, kind of get into that point. Like it is very much like a cathartic moment. It is very much a moment I think where Cobb is kind of able to forgive himself in some way, able to kind of allow the past to finally kind of subside into the past, allow himself to kind of live a life and not be completely kind of drowned in his guilt and grief. So I think in terms of building towards what the movie kind of his main crux of the kind of heart of the film is, I love it for that reason. Against all but just forgiveness, which is the main theme of the film. I'd also say like Robert and his dad. Again, we've talked about it so many times. Like that scene is awesome. And like to me, like I think that these two scenes are kind of like 1A and 1B because to me they're just kind of same scene, but just flipping the characters around. Where it's like it's one continuous scene essentially for me of Cobb and Mal and Robert and his dad. So I'm gonna count them as one. So I'm gonna have 4 scenes because I like to cheat. I think the opening Dreamworld scene in like the like party is fucking awesome. Like with him, like Chloe said, like catching the bullets, like just like shooting the guys down. It's so cool. Like it's a perfect intro scene in terms for me of like introducing the world, but also like being so confused what's going on, like being like so shot in mystery, like not necessarily knowing what's going on. Mal comes in. Who is she? She's a badass in her own right. Like the water smashing and like the whole like bump to bump to bump to bump to bump of that scene is so good and like flows so well and like constantly somebody spikes right. And I think the like whole thing with like him like killing just Levitt's character and like figuring all that out, like it just works so well. And then like my final top 3 scene is everything involved with Joseph Gordon-Levitt in the hallways
Yep.
as it like
Yeah.
splits around, like spins around and like does everything and like him fighting the guy with, like 0 G gravity. Like it's awesome. Like that is like I feel like the big showstopper like scene of the film, and it still holds up so well 9 years later.
What about you, Chloe?
Always Seen is definitely one of mine.
Mhm.
Just so cool visually. I'm a sucker for cool visuals. So the second time Cobb and Ariadne go into the dream, where she
Mm.
like the town folds, they walk
Folds on
up.
top of stuff also,
Oh,
yeah.
so cool! I love that part. And then she ends up getting stabbed by the crowd, which is freaky. But no, yeah, that's a cool scene. And I had another one. What was it?
While you're thinking of that, I'll dive in
Yeah.
with
Okay.
some of mine. I wrote down 6 because I expected that
Mm.
you all would, because I expected you all would like bring up some of the ones I brought up, which you did. So I'm going to not bother talking about the hallway fight or the Ariadne dream lesson when she's like making everything move because those two are phenomenal. But you all kind of covered what I wanted to cover there. The pinwheel scene is definitely my favorite for many of the same reasons that we've already talked about. Just because I think that what makes this movie special, I don't think that Christopher Nolan's movies are cold. However, I think more than Logan understand why people have that criticism of them. I think that
I understand. I think the criticism is fine. I think they're wrong for thinking it. Like I don't see it, but like I understand it for sure. Like where they get it, at least from some of the movies, right? Like Memento and like Interstellar. I think very much I can see it.
I think for me it's Christopher Nolan is a very intellectual person and he tries to I'm not even going to say he tries to put emotion into his movies. He does put emotion into his movies. But I think it's that like I said earlier, I think a lot of his movies are kind of him trying to investigate emotions. And because it's like this very intellectual investigation of emotions, it can sometimes come across as cold. Sometimes I think it just because it does end up being quite cold, despite that not being the intention. And sometimes I think it's a lot warmer than people give it credit for. Dunkirk is the best example of that.
I
But
agree.
but I I love this moment in Inception because this is just the most, like I said, this is in my opinion, the most emotionally resonant scene in a Christopher Nolan film outside of maybe Dunkirk. But I feel like Dunkirk's a very special case because it's a very unique movie. This is a much more like traditional Christopher Nolan movie, and this is a very brilliant, cathartic ending, but also kind of messed up. Because for as much as we think about like, oh, forgiveness and oh, it's great that like he's able to love his dad and like forge his own path, it's also a lie. The pinwheel's a lie. That's the end result of all of this. Is it's a deception that was crafted by con men who are deceiving him.
But I think it's also that thing of I think it's only like half a lie, right? Where like I feel like sure, but I also think that by the end they want him to have this moment with his dad too, right? Like they like I think there's like is an added layer of this where it's like they want him to actually have a moment with his dad where that is kind of genuine in their own way. And like I also think that like it's a thing for me where it's like, does it matter, right? Like if it's a lie or not, right? Like Robert still ultimately like isn't gonna be bogged again. Like I think part of this movie too for me is like not being held hostage by like the past, right? And like the like traumas of it and kind of everything involved in it. And I think Robert allowing himself to like not try to be like his father, right? To like allow himself to become his own man, to allow himself to be like a good man, right? Instead of a great man necessarily. Him going on that like spiritual and emotional journey. Like the idea was planted by somebody else, but ultimately it had to take root in his own mind. Like he had to kind of believe in it himself. He had to kind of chase after it himself and get to that point himself. And I think that kind of realization that, like, to me, it's that thing of like, yeah, like it's a half lie, I guess, but like, who's to say his dad maybe wouldn't have said the rest of this after he said disappointed, right? Like, who's to say like his dad wouldn't have maybe had more to say necessarily? And so, like, I like it. I think part of the story of Inception is like also lies and like justified versus like not justified lies. Yeah, like it's a great scene. The pinwheel scene is awesome.
I mean,
It's
yeah,
a great scene. Yeah.
I don't.
It's complicated. The whole movie's complex.
Yeah.
It's,
I mean, yeah, I think the pinwheel scene. I like that it's a lie. I like that it's a deception because, like, whether or not you're right, the dad could have been trying to say that we don't know, but regardless, neither does Cobb or his team. So what they are telling him it is a deception. It is them tricking him into believing something. But it's also, it is the theme that runs throughout this movie of kind of you choose what your reality is.
and you also choose to forgive, right? Like he could have gotten to that point in his dream still and then been like, fuck you, dad, still. Like that's the point. Like he ultimately chose the act of forgiving his father and like letting it go and being like, yeah, like because like, I think ultimately it's a moment of him being like, yeah, like I love my dad still. Like even
Mhm.
despite everything, it's like I love my dad. And it's him getting to that point and like accepting that, accepting who his father is and forgiving him for that. And like I think letting, because like ultimately for me, like Inception is a very, I think like even among like Chris Nolan movies, like among the more like hopeful Chris Nolan movies. And I think that, yeah, and I think that I really loved that because I remember I think it's really powerful, like all the different acts of like people kind of getting kind of redeemed in some way and like being kind of saved in different ways. And I think that that is one particular where it's like, yeah, like I think for me that's a moment where it's like, yeah, like it's him just choosing to forgive someone, which is like the most like again like the most like powerful thing you can do, right? In like that moment, it's like, yeah, like it doesn't matter if it's based on a deception, right? Because like Cobb and everybody else like could only offer the like deception to him, but like they said, like ultimately it's just take root in his own mind, and he had to already kind of believe it in some way, and like clearly he already kind of believed it somewhat. So like gave him the idea. He just kind of evolved as it went on and got to that point. And was like, yeah, like I don't despise and hate my dad.
I know Chloe picked this movie, but man, Logan has
That was the
a
thing.
lot
Like,
of
Yeah.
feelings
that
about
was the thing.
Inception.
Like I came in and was like, yeah, like I'm so excited to watch Inception. I love Inception. And then I watched it now and I was like, man, like this is one of my favorite movies of all time. Like I was like, I like this movie hit me so hard. Like I
Wow.
fucking love Inception. Like it's so good. And like it like slapped in ways I did not expect. I was like, holy fuck. 'Cause, like I did not remember it being like I remember it being like emotional, but like the underlying theme of like forgiveness popping up so much. I was like, shit, like this movie is so smart and so clever and so brilliant and like really emotional. And like it is like I think kind of unique in a Chris Nolan pantheon for like all of those things. But it's rad as shit. Inception's great, guys.
Chloe, did you figure out your last favorite scene?
Yeah, when they're Ariadne is like, "Hey, what's a kick?" Then Tom Hardy's like, "This is a kick," and he kicks Jordan, Jordan. No, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Every single time I say his name,
Jorson Gopher Levitt.
Joseph Goatman Levitt.
Joseph Gordon. Yeah, and he kicks his chair and he fucking almost falls over. That after all that, in deep shit, little simple shit like that.
My two favorites that are not ones you two brought up, besides the pinwheel scene, I also love the cafe scene with Ariadne when everything starts exploding and he's
Yes.
like
Oh, yeah.
talking
Cool.
about
That,
how did we get here? What do dreams do? It's
Mhm.
really cool. I think it is a great introduction to really how like the dream sequence works. And Ellen Page is just a fantastic actress who I think is very underrated, and she makes that scene really work because she and Leonardo DiCaprio just have very good chemistry. They bounce off each other really well. I also love the scene when he gets Eames. I think I just like the recruitment.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I like the recruitment scenes
Yes.
a lot.
Those are always the best.
Him and Eames is really good. Yeah, it's a good point.
Hmm.
Eames definitely brings a breath of fresh air into a movie that is up until that point relatively serious. Like Ariadne's a bit spunky, but she is still, more of the serious, intelligent, architectural one. And then Eames rolls in and he's just like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, he's comedy relief without being too annoying or anything.
Yeah. He's like, I'm going to do Inception. I know it's not, I know you're going to say it's not possible. And he's like, nah, it's totally possible. It's just hard.
Yeah.
Before we finish up our discussion on Inception, we have a couple more things to hit. First of all, a couple tidbits. You probably know this one, but the spinning hallway scene was a physical set.
Yeah.
They had to build an entire hallway basically in like a circular hydraulic thing and then spin it. This isn't the first time something like this has been done because they had to do a similar concept in the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie. There's a scene when a girl is essentially dragged up into the wall while being like murdered and it's covered in blood and it's very cool. But this is probably the most complex one just because that was a singular room and this was an entire hallway. So that's cool.
That's so awesome.
It's still one of the best action sequences, I think, just on an effects level.
A decade later,
Yeah.
it's incredible what they did.
There are action sequences I love because of their absurdity. There are action sequences I love, like John Wick, because of just how good it is at choreography.
Well executed it is, yeah.
But this is just a brilliant action sequence in terms of using effects in a cool, unique way. And they had to use practical effects because I don't think you could really make that work with CGI unless you just CGI'd entire people. Also, this movie took 10 years to develop.
Wow.
I knew this, yeah.
Which is a long time. The original idea was for it to be a horror film about dreams, so even more in line with Nightmare on Elm Street. Kind of makes me wonder if the hallway scene was inspired by
It might have
that
been.
Nightmare on Elm Street
Maybe,
scene.
yeah.
Yeah, might have been.
I also love to see a Chris Nolan horror movie, actually. That'd be really interesting.
I was about to say, I don't think he has it in him.
Really?
I don't, I'm not saying he's not a great director who could probably pull it off, but I just don't feel like that's kind of his instinctive bend.
I think it'd be something
as
like Get
genres
Out. Like it'd
go.
be a very different kind of horror film. It'd be a very yeah.
I feel like the only way I could see him doing it is if someone came up to him and they're like, I dare you to make a horror film. Just like someone has to really push him into it. I don't feel like that.
Sure, actually challenged him. Yeah.
He's like, bet, and he does it.
I don't feel like that's a genre he would like naturally slide into, which isn't an indictment of him as a director. It's just
No, not at all. Like I think thriller, like it'd be more of a thriller than like a
definitely
horror movie classic trope kind of thing, but very curious.
like Martin Scorsese made Shutter Island, which is a thriller with Leonardo DiCaprio. But I couldn't see Martin Scorsese making a up and up horror movie.
We could also argue that like Nolan already did this too, right? With like Memento and Insomnia and stuff like that. Like he's already kind of done this vibe.
A lot of people view this movie as a film about filmmaking. We talked about that, but it's actually really interesting because I have the Inception script book, and the opening of it is an interview with Christopher Nolan and his brother, Jonathan Nolan, who is the creator of the Westworld TV show. And in it, Jonathan Nolan brings up the same concept of like, this is kind of the way that they have to craft a dream world is very similar to how you have to craft a movie with, you perceive something as you're creating it. And Christopher Nolan definitely, according to this at least, didn't make that connection, but it is an interesting one and one that he kind of seems to vibe with in the interview. I think he talks about this, a lot of filmmakers end up making movies about making movies, which he seems to have no interest in from what he said. But it's cool to see how someone, whether purposefully or not purposefully, can kind of take their own experiences and translate that into a very new idea.
Cool shit.
Anyway, games. Let's get to games.
These games are easy this week. The answer is yes.
They really are. Chloe, this is time for Nailed It with Chloe Naylor, where we ask Chloe, are these villains sexy? Now, I've kind of cheated with this one because I feel like one question is very obvious and the second one is like, I'm pretty sure I know your answer, but we'll see. So the up and up villain of this movie is Mal. Chloe, is Mal sexy?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
She definitely is. Have you seen her? Oh, yeah. Glad we can all agree on that.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised by that. That's why I added a second one.
Even
Chloe,
easier.
is Robert sexy?
Cillian Murphy? Yeah.
Cillian Murphy can get it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, totally.
I feel like he kind of has that like villain with the Chloe patented haircut. Like he doesn't exactly have that haircut, but I feel like he has that haircut.
Long and
Almost
lanky
there.
too, right?
He's like a rich billionaire. Like, yeah, okay. I see you. Yeah.
Chloe's just like, yeah, he's a rich billionaire. Like,
Exactly.
they're all my type.
Listen,
Bill Gates, call me.
He's a rich billionaire and he's got the hair, or at least somewhat of the hair. Mm-hmm. He's there. Yeah.
So this is all just your eternal quest to get closer and closer to Rafe Adler.
Pretty
is what you're
much.
saying.
That's the epitome of that's exactly what I'm going for in life.
We should have like a Rafe Adler scale for this. Like a how close to Rafe Adler are they?
Ooh.
How close on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think Cillian Murphy falls to Rafe Adler?
Maybe like a 6.5. If 10 being like that's Rafe Adler.
Yeah.
That's Rafe Adler, yeah.
6.57 maybe. Not quite there. He's not.
Okay.
I would say like towards the middle. So like 6.5.
Okay. Gotcha. Logan, what would your totem be?
I've thought a lot about this, and by a lot, I mean a little bit. I don't know, like something like that's. I'm looking at my room even like.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it'd be something. I like maybe like a poker chip would be a cool one to do, right? Like the exact like way like it spins or something like that. Like I think I kind of looked at instinctively was like one of my cousins made me like via 3D printing thing like a small like mini TARDIS. And so like knowing like the exact like that would fall like the exact weight of that in my hand, I think it'd be a cool one that's very like a personalized thing. So maybe that actually I'm gonna pick that. A 3D printed TARDIS.
I love that.
Very cool.
I'm kind of sad I can't have a mini TARDIS now.
It's awesome.
Chloe, did you say what yours would be? When
No,
you
I
asked us
didn't
this
say.
Fantastic
She did
question.
not.
So
Chloe, what would your totem be?
not to be me or anything, but I have this.
Logan just opened with a TARDIS, so be you as you can be.
It's gonna be a General Grievous action figure.
I have a little keychain. It's a Transformers thing. In the middle, it spins between an Autobot and Decepticon thing, and it has my name on it. So like you spin it, you're gonna land on Autobot insignia or the Decepticon one. And that's what mine would be. Mm-hmm.
Ben,
I have a knife that like a pop open
And you
knife.
stab yourself
like
in the dream. Okay.
slides open. It was made by my grandfather, and I think I would use that, and it'd be like how it closes or how it opens would be the thing I have to understand. So like at what point does it kind of just like snap shut? That would probably be, and just like how it feels in my hand. That'd probably be my totem.
Nice.
Okay, guys, this brings us to game number 2 or 3 if we count Chloe's. We should. Trivia.
Oh boy.
Originally, the character of Mal, I don't think was actually named Mal at that point either, but the character of Mal, as it served a purpose within this narrative, the villain, was not Cobb's wife. What role do you think that character had in relation to Cobb before?
I'm thinking either sister or teacher.
I was gonna go with like a family member.
Yeah. So you go family member. I'll say like a teacher figure. Like she was like his like mentor kind of thing.
Okay. You are both wrong.
Mm.
Logan's definitely closer.
Okay.
The basic concept was it was a very like heist movie conceit of Mal was a partner of Cobb's who betrayed him. I don't know if at that point she was supposed to be dead or if he was supposed to be dead. I don't know what the gender of the betraying partner was, knowing Christopher Nolan was probably a dude. But
Now I wish that was a thing.
you would have liked it, wouldn't
I
you?
would have really liked that.
Christopher Nolan changed it because he needed more emotional stakes in the movie. And he felt like Mal carried that. I'm kind of on Chloe's side that I'm not so sure that's true because I still don't like Mal as a character. But that was his original idea, and he was having a lot of trouble. This is part of the reason it was a 10-year development process, is just Christopher Nolan had a lot of trouble getting this story to work. So Mal was kind of that final click for him where he was like, oh, if it's his wife who died and he's guilty over it, that can be like the driving emotional force.
I get it.
And yeah, he kills girlfriends and wives a lot, which his brother calls him out on in the interview at the beginning of the script. There's a article by film critic Hulk. I don't know if either of you are familiar with that writer. No one knows who he actually is. He just uses, I mean, someone probably knows who he actually is, but he just goes by film.
He's a very divisive figure, I would argue. Yeah.
He just goes by film critic Hulk on the interwebs. And he has an article talking about like emotions in Christopher Nolan films. And he kind of is talking about that concept we've brought up of like, is Christopher Nolan a cold director? And his core argument is like when he watched Dunkirk, that kind of shifted how he viewed Christopher Nolan and saw him in a lot more like sympathetic and like empathetic light. So it reframed his view of the dead wife characters in a way that Christopher Nolan also talks about in the interview of just, this seems like his deepest fear. Like, I think nothing scares Christopher Nolan more than the idea of losing his wife, which is kind of cute. Also, kind of terrifying that he keeps killing them in movies, but kind of cute.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, I like Logan and I were saying, I think Christopher Nolan uses his movies heavily as explorations of his view of the world. So I guess it kind of makes sense that fear is such a driving.
The last wife that he killed off was, or female love interest, is Dark Knight Rises. I'm trying to think, right?
Interstellar.
No, it was Interstellar. Like, I haven't seen it, but I know that in the article with Film Crit Hulk.
The wife is not there.
Oh, like I guess, yeah, like the mom, but like the mom, but she's never like not even in the movie, basically. Yeah, I was thinking of like Anne Hathaway's character, who's like the daughter person. Yeah.
Second trivia question. This is a movie that was written exclusively by Christopher Nolan, which is something that hadn't happened for a little while. When do you think was the last year that a Christopher Nolan movie came out exclusively written by Christopher Nolan?
Exclusively written by him.
I know that's the line. Fuck. Maybe his brother was on The Prestige. Maybe.
You can also just give me what movie you think it is if you can't think of a specific year, because like that's, fair.
I feel like it's not Dark Knight, Prestige, or Batman Begins, because that'd be too easy. I feel like there's all be too recent. Those are the three right before Inception. I'm gonna say Memento, which is what 2001 maybe 2000.
I'm gonna go with Dunkirk. I think that was what 2 years ago now.
We're going backwards from Inception.
Backwards.
I was like, she went in the future. I was like, I didn't know that was an option. Yeah, I was like,
no, you said backwards. I didn't hear that part.
I mean, with how Christopher Nolan works with time, you know what? It's valid.
You're right. So he.
I'm actually curious now. Did he write Dunkirk by himself? Let's find out.
I can check here.
I think he did.
I'll just say Logan was correct. It's Memento.
Yeah.
It was 2000.
Yeah.
So there was a 10-year gap.
Wow.
There was a 10-year gap between the last movie he wrote that was exclusively Christopher Nolan written film.
So 2020, then he's going to have a new movie come out. Maybe he's the only writer on it.
Chloe is right, though. He was the only writer on Dunkirk.
Cool.
So you know what? Time is relative.
Woo!
She knows things.
Woo!
Chloe Naylor, ladies and gentlemen.
I know things sometimes.
He had Insomnia after Memento, which wasn't written by him at all. And then he had Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, which are both written by him and David Goyer. And then he had, in between that, he had The Prestige, which maybe before that, actually. At some point, he had The Prestige, which was written by him and his brother, Jonathan Nolan, together. And then he got to Inception. And he talks about that a bit where he's like, it's really hard to write a movie by yourself and then direct a movie by yourself. Because when you're directing someone else's words, you can evaluate it better. It's a lot easier to look at a moment and be like, I'm not so sure about this. The example he gives is he thinks it's a really weird way to end a movie with the boats in The Dark Knight. And he was like, yeah, when I first read that, I wasn't sure that worked. And I had to accept it, that it was the best way to do it. So then when we got to editing, I looked at it again and I was like, I'm still not sure this is, he was like, this is still a weird way to end a movie, but I've already evaluated that because I read someone else's writing. And he's like, with writing your own stuff, you kind of don't really realize it until you get to the end of a movie. And then you're like, well, I guess I shot this.
Interesting.
Filmmaking's complicated.
Who knew?
Finally, we have executive action. Let's keep it to like one thing that each of us might change about this movie, if we would change anything. We'll start with Logan, because I feel like he'll have the least amount of things to say, because he loves this.
I mean, the only thing I really would change is I would just make the totem fall, or not even have that be like a thing that is
Just
shown.
make it actually.
Yeah, just make it just like I just because like I like I'm not opposed to like the ambiguity of it, but I feel like the problem is like it's become such a dominant part of the conversation around the film. That's just like just have it fall, make it that simple, or like have him not even spin it, whatever. Just like make it a thing. Just either way, just be like
You just
cool.
kind of like those down the table.
Yeah,
And
be like
fuck you.
have it throw on the table and then just like it falls immediately like thing, and then like it's just him going to his kids and like that's all we need. I will say that like Michael Caine has also commented on the thing, and his whole thing was like, you know that it's real when I'm in it because I'm only ever in like real life scenes with him. I'm never in any of the dreams. And it's like
He's the totem.
He's the totem.
I know it's like Michael Caine is the
Oh.
totem the whole time, guys. Fuck your wedding ring. It's that.
That's what it is.
If
It's
you see Michael Caine, you're in real life, not a dream.
Whoa. That's true. I've never seen Michael Caine in my dreams.
Chloe, what would your executive action be if you were to change Inception in some way?
Oh man, I feel like I would, because I'm with you. I don't think I'm a huge fan of Mel, but I don't know if I would completely get rid of her character and go back to the traitor thing, even though I really like that. But like, I want more focus on like the team members more than the wife, I guess. I know that's like the emotional core of like Leonardo DiCaprio and all that, but like, doesn't really sell it, I guess. You know?
Yeah.
You said it better earlier, you know.
No, I think your way of describing it's totally valid and good.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I've touched on it myself too. Like I don't like Mal as a character. I think that she's weirdly more of a concept than a person, and I realize that's kind of because that's how Leonardo DiCaprio's character Cobb is viewing her because she is, the memory. But I still don't think that connects with me emotionally. I want to make that emotional arc of Cobb's family and Mal and all those things work. The thing is, I don't know how to. I spent an hour after watching this movie going, how the hell would I change this? And I have thoughts. I have thoughts about like Mal's alive and she's in America, but the kids are dead and they're the ones haunting him.
Mm.
Or the kids aren't even there and Mal is still haunting him and he just has to kind of accept like his place with the people he's with. But then you need the motivation for him to wanting to get back to America to begin with. And I'm not sure if just him wanting to get home is the thing. I don't know. But I feel like there is a streamlined arc there. At my most basic, if I just had one very simple note for Christopher Nolan, I guess I would just say make Mal more human. I want to see more of who she actually was and how he actually remembers her. And I realize that there is that element of like, you're not my wife, you're just my construct of my wife. But I don't think that she really needs to be that different for that to still be true. So if she was charming and lovable and it was really hard for him to pull himself away from her, even if she kind of became more deranged as time went on, I just wish we started with her kind of being someone that it's just hard for him to pull away from. And that's why he keeps coming back to her.
So basically, we just need to rework that character.
Yeah. I don't know if it's like the writing or the directing that she was given, or just you need an actress that's less ephemeral. Because Marion, whatever her last name is, I remember, I just can't say it. She's definitely she's a very like almost inhuman person, or at least she portrays herself that way in a lot of the roles I've seen her in.
To be fair in here, she literally isn't human. She literally is just like a dream.
She's just a projection.
I want her to be more human. I want to feel that human connection so that when he has to choose to let her go, it's not just, oh, like she's the memory of your wife. It's also like she is your ability to connect with her. I just think that to fully embrace the power of that release, I need more of a human connection between them, even if she is a dream. I do love this movie though. I know I'm like, criticizing the Mao character, and I her relationship with Cobb is my least favorite part of this movie, but there's a lot of very, 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 very good things about this movie. And she and Cobb do still have very cool scenes. Like her death scene is very messed up and very cool. God, that's a messed up scene.
Really fucked up.
It's like science fiction Gone Girl.
Gonna frame you for my murder so you kill yourself too. What the fuck?
We're coming to the end of our episode today. What are our closing thoughts? Logan, what are your closing thoughts on this movie?
Yeah, I think ultimately for me, I think Inception's great. Like I think again, I love Chris Nolan in general. Like again, he's my favorite kind of modern filmmaker. I think that Inception is unquestionably kind of in the upper echelon of what he does. Kind of easily one of kind of his like masterpieces. I think that from like every level of filmmaking, like from like a technical level, like a special effects level, I think from an acting level, I think Leonardo DiCaprio's performance in this movie is incredible. Like top of mind, like, I think his performance is so good. It's one of the best of his career, I think. Like I think that the cast is like mad stacked, like top to bottom. Like
So
every single person in this cast is like like just really good actors all the way around. All giving great like fun performances. I love the stuff with Robert and his dad. I at the very least love the stuff with Cobb and Mal. I think this movie is one of Nolan's more emotional movies. I think it's arguably his most like hopeful and optimistic movie, maybe along with like Dunkirk or something like that. But like I think it ultimately just it's what I tweeted out last night when I said I finished watching, where it's like I think ultimately the movie is just like a really genuinely just like really powerful story on forgiveness and its power and kind of the cleansing nature of it. And I really took home a lot from that. And so like I dig it. It's great. Shout out to Inception.
shout out to Inception.
Shout out to Inception.
Chloe?
Yeah, it only gets better every time I watch it because I think
Yes, that's my thing too. Yeah.
I have more of an appreciation for it. Like the more I
Yeah,
grow
same.
up and like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Definitely same.
Visuals are stunning. I love it. They
Yes.
still hold up 10 years later, which is
For sure.
crazy. But
Very much benefited, I think, by just the sheer amount of
Mhm.
practical effects that went into this movie. Like the train goes down the street and the train is actually going down the street.
yeah, like practical effects for the win. Yeah, shout out to Inception.
Shout out to Inception. This is, like I said many times, this is my favorite Christopher Nolan film. I think it's his most emotional in a way, at least that connects with me the most. I love a lot of things about it. I do like I connect the most with the story arc with Robert Fisher and with his dad than I
Sure.
do with Mal and with Cobbs.
Mhm.
So this isn't a perfect movie for me, but this is a movie I enjoy a lot. And most importantly, again, going back to the Inception interview that I was reading from the script book, Christopher Nolan says he really appreciates movies that try to do something interesting, even if they don't always stick the landing. And I agree with that. I think this movie tries to do something very interesting, and I think it succeeds in a lot of ways. And even though there are elements of it that I think it kind of stumbles on, those are elements that I find forgivable. There are other movies that try and do things and do cool things, and the failures are harder for me to grapple with. But this one, I think a lot of it is very, very, very good, and I like it a lot.
Shout out to Inception.
Can we just title this episode?
Shout out to Inception.
Shout out to Inception.
Can we
For
please?
sure. Yeah. We mean we can. We literally can. Yeah. We're
Perfect.
We break the entire rules we've set up for how we name our things. Instead of it being Inception, movies of the 2010s,
Shout out to Inception.
That Wanna Be Film Class, we're just shout out to Inception.
Shout out to Inception. Yep.
Mhm.
I'm here for it.
Fantastic. Guys, before we go, what is one cool thing you've seen this week? It doesn't have to be a film or TV show. It can be anything cool that you think is worth noting. Logan, you want to kick that off?
Yeah. I mean, I saw It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
How was that?
Again, it's good. I think it's good. I've got again like I'm talking a bit about like some narrative structure issues of the film, but like at the very least, Tom Hanks's I think depiction of Mr. Rogers is great. I think that the depiction of Lloyd Vogel by I think it's Matthew Rhys. Yeah, Matthew Rhys is also great. I think it's interesting too, like minor low key spoiler if you want to see the movie. Like it's very much not a Mr. Rogers movie. He's in it sporadically, which I think ultimately is really clever of it, and I think mostly works. Yeah, like I think it's a really neat film. I watched that, enjoyed it. I love Mr. Rogers. If you love Mr. Rogers, watch it. If you don't, watch it anyway because it's really beautiful still.
Hey.
So go check it out.
Chloe, how about you?
I saw Frozen 2 and way better than the first. And I have the soundtrack on repeat constantly. I love it. It was real good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you see that while you were in London?
I did. Saw it with my friends. Thank God we were in the theater alone because during all the previews we were just making jokes and being annoying.
That sounds fantastic.
It was.
I saw Knives Out, which I wrote a review about on that nerdy site. It's
Plug
very
that
good.
shit.
I like it a lot.
Masterpiece, 10 out of 10. Yeah.
Yeah, I gave it a 10 out of 10.
Ryan Johnson liked your tweet about it.
Ryan Johnson liked my tweet about it, guys. He saw my stupid joke. I don't know if he read the article, but I called him my favorite modern director in it, so I really hope he did. I love him so much. And
Proud of you.
I started watching the Watchmen TV show on HBO. You know who watches The Watchmen? Me. That's right. I made that joke.
Damn.
No one else has ever thought to make that joke before.
Heard it here first.
I gotta go.
We all have to go, Chloe. That's how wrapping up an episode works.
Ended after that terrible joke. Thank you.
Anyway, Watchmen's very good. I like it a lot. Did not expect it to be as good as it is. I'm not a huge fan of the comic book, but I'm really enjoying the show. Guys, this has been our episode of That Wannabe Film Class, the first episode of our 2010s themed month. Logan, you have a movie coming up next week.
Yes.
And Chloe and I don't know what it is yet. So want to reveal it for all of us at once?
Yes. This was not, again, I mentioned that I was thinking of a few different movies that I was bouncing around. This is not one. This is one that I thought of today when I was just doing like one last kind of like look at like movies from this decade. And I happened to just see it and was like, that's it. That's a movie that I'm going to pick right now. And it is a movie for the first time where the person picking it, I believe, has not seen it themselves. We are going to be watching Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh.
Ooh.
Okay.
That is going to be next week's pick.
I have not
a movie that
seen
I've
it
wanted to
either.
watch since I first saw the trailer. I'm so excited for this movie. Yeah.
Sick. Love it. Thank you, Logan.
We were talking about that before heading into this episode, but I feel like every time I look at movies that fit themes, I keep being like, oh, I could talk about X, Y, or Z, but also there's this movie that I want to see that fits it.
Mm-hmm. And it was very much foreshadowing. So it's like, all right, well, you know what? I'm doing that kind of.
I'm excited.
Yeah, Mad Max Fury Road. Yeah, I'm very excited to see it.
I'm excited to see you experience a movie you haven't experienced before.
Going it the first time together, Chloe. Here we go.
I've seen it. I'm excited for both of you to see it. This is exciting. This is going to be riveting entertainment.
Truly.
Guys,
so yeah.
Where can people find you?
You can find me at LeftyLogie on everything. Again, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Google Pixel glasses, anything. By the time this goes live, I might be, but that day I'll have a review up of A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. It's good. Can also check out binge review of Knives Out. Go check out the newest episode of that Ultimate Video Game List show where we finished up nominations for everything. That's a lot of fun. You can go check out the newest episode of That Nerdy Site show, which none of us are on, but it's still good, I swear. And then you can go check out all the different kinds of content on the internet that we're all doing and just general nonsense and mayhem out there. Go do that.
Yeah.
Chloe, where can people find you?
Everywhere at Echo Chloe. Everywhere. Twitter, Twitch, which Twitch streams are coming back this week because I've been gone in a different country for like a week and a half. It's been great. Also on Letterboxd, because every time I watch a movie, I have to log in on Letterboxd and I have to write a review, even if it's a one dumb little line about it. I love it so much. And I watch so many movies on the plane rides to and from London, so there's way more content there now. It's great.
I'm gonna check this out.
You better, because I love my dumb little reviews for it. But yeah, Echo Chloe everywhere.
Ben?
You can find me at Mr_BentoBox on Twitter, at Mr. BentoBox everywhere else, including Letterboxd. Please follow my Letterboxd. I love that website so much.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's great.
You can also find That Nerdy Site at thatnerdysite.com. You can donate to our Patreon, Patreon/thatnerdysite. Just search That Nerdy Site in Patreon. You'll find it. Also, we have a Discord channel for That Nerdy Site now with a dedicated little chat room for That Wannabe Film Class. If you're interested in joining, we will tweet out a link to that probably. Check That Nerdy Site. I'll figure it out by the time this goes live.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Oh God, that's tomorrow morning. I'll figure that out very fast. I just remembered how quickly I have to edit all this. Anyway, this has been another episode of That Wannabe Film Class. If you enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe. Please leave us a review. It's been great talking movies, and we look forward to talking movies next week.